Maternity leave period in the Philippines is one of the lowest among ASEAN countries. The International Labor Organization recommends a 90-day paid maternity leave. But lawmakers here are looking to extend that period. Currently, government workers are given a 60-day paid leave for normal delivery and 78 days for a C-section. The House Committee on Gender Equality recently approved a bill to change that to a 100-day pay maternity leave. Let's go straight to the source of the story. Diwa Party List Representative Emeline Aglipay-Villar. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Pinky.
What inspired you to author this bill?
Well, one is I'm also a mother, a recent mother, and I know the hardships that mothers need to go through after giving birth and also while taking care of the baby. I understand the need to recuperate after giving birth, whether cesarean or normal. And also because aside from that, mothers need to breastfeed their children. Breastfeeding is important not only for building the bond between the mother and the child, but more importantly, for the health of the baby. It's more of a public health issue also. That's why we're making all policies consistent. All the bills that I've filed pertaining to maternal and infant health promote breastfeeding because it's an issue of solving the problem of malnutrition in our country. And most of the time, women who stop breastfeeding is due to the problem of having to return to work. So in order to solve this, one way is to increase their maternity leave so that they can spend more time taking care of the baby and recuperating from giving birth and breastfeeding as well.
So the International Labor Organization is recommending a 98-day leave for mothers, but as I said, we are at 60 to 78 days. What's taking so long? Why aren't we in what is supposed to be a recommended or standard number of days of leaves?
Well, first is I guess the employers are worried that their female employees will be gone most of the time, especially if some women give birth one after the other, and that means that they would have to lose more employees, while women employees, while they're at paid leave, and of course this would entail lower productivity probably. Another issue that was raised during the hearings was that it might be used to discriminate women with respect to hiring if employers know that this law would be enacted, then it would probably be a disincentive for them to hire women. But we're trying to make all laws consistent so that the women won't be discriminated on with respect to if this bill is approved.
Yeah, if it's passed into law, because that was one of the worries, at least in the research that has come out, that there could be some sort of discrimination against women, because right now we're at 60 to 78 days paid leave, and if we extend that to 100 days, that's about another 1 month for the mothers, right? So let's talk about the side of the employers, for example. To be able to give another month off from 78 to 100, that would require probably the company to add more, add a temporary replacement for that particular employee.
That's right.
Did you factor in the kind of effect that would have on the budget of the employer, and is it realistic for them as well?
Well, when we had our hearings, the employers didn't dwell much on that. What they brought up was, because we invited also employers organizations, and what they brought up was having to pay the differential, the salary differential between the benefits that an female employee gets from the SSS and their actual salary within a month's period, which is what is required by the law.
So that's clear. What's going to happen is if it's extended to 100 days, that the employee will get 100% of her salary.
Not less than 2/3, but the
so it's not 100%.
But the government, it says full pay for the workers in government. For the benefits that the SSS will give, it's actually not less than 2/3. But for the law, it says that it's the average of their monthly salary credit. So,
what is that? What is an
because
average
some
of the
people
monthly?
don't get paid monthly. some people get different paid daily. Some people are paid daily, and it's different every day. So it depends on the hours of their work. So it's an average of their monthly salary credit.
But if you're a regular employee, for example, you earn a
Getting paid
specific,
monthly, yeah.
let's say 10,000 pesos a month, that's what you get.
Yes.
It's just, it becomes, there's a little bit of a disparity or a problem or a difference if you're not what we call a regular employee.
Yes.
So the 100 days, let me go back to that. I didn't quite get that. Is that going to be 100% paid?
Yes, it's full pay. It's full pay.
Okay.
You're supposed to get full pay. It's specifically stated for government employees. That includes SUCs, national government agencies, GOCCs, and for those in the private sector, they're supposed to receive the average salary credit that they get. It's computed for 100 days.
Why is there a difference between the employees in the public sector and the employees in the private sector?
Well, it depends on the laws governing GSIS and SSS. So there's an SSS law, and that's what that's the payment that they get from the SSS law.
Because understandably, what happens is if you, for example, take a leave, the company pays you for your maternity leave, and then the SSS reimburses the particular company, because that's under the mandate of the SSS.
Yes.
Okay, but it's mandatory.
Yes.
This will be mandatory for all employees, regardless if you're working for the public or the private sector.
Mandatory.
Okay.
Mandatory.
The maternity leave, let's look at some of the maternity leaves in our neighboring countries, just to give our viewers a little bit of a comparison here. In Vietnam, we have 120 to 180 days. In Singapore, there's 112 days. In Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, 90 days. And in the Philippines, we're looking at just 60 to 78 days. Why do you think, have you made any studies on why, for example, Vietnam has the most number of paid leaves? That's 100 to 180. That's 6 months.
Yes. Well, actually, we haven't made a study on that. So I guess it depends on the policy that the government wants to put forward.
All right. Benefits of extending the maternity leave to 100 days. How would that affect, for example, let's start with the mother, and then the child, and then the employer?
Benefits of extending. Well, to the mother, as I discussed earlier, it would give the mother ample time to recover and recuperate from giving birth, because it's really not something easy. It's difficult to especially if the mother goes through C-section. But more importantly, it's because there is time that's needed to be able to take care of the baby. We should not just take it lightly. That this time of bonding is very important, and being able to provide breast milk to the baby and breastfeed at this crucial first months of the baby's life is very important. In fact, what's recommended by the WHO is up to 2 years. But exclusive breast milk breastfeeding is required until 6 months. So that's why probably in Vietnam, their paid leave is until 6 months, because the WHO requires exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months in order to promote proper nutrition. So the reason why our malnutrition rate is very high in the Philippines, I think, is because a lot of babies do not meet that requirement of being breastfed for 2 months. So it's important for us to really think about how we're going to solve this malnutrition problem, how we're going to decrease our infant mortality rate, as well as take care of our mothers. So that's a big benefit for the mothers and the babies.
In terms of the employers, we're going to ask the Management Association of the Philippines
maybe
the kind of effect this would have, if any. But if there is a need to extend it over and above the 100 days, is there anything in the bill that says this could be allowed?
Yes, it's allowed. A 30-day non-paid extension is allowed.
So that's non-paid.
Yeah, after 100 days, if the mother still feels that she needs more time to recover, or she wants to be able to extend her time with the baby and to breastfeed the baby more, then a 30-day extension is allowed.
So this will not give the company, for example, the license to eventually maybe fire an employee because masyado nang mahaba yung leave niya.
Well, firing an employee based on this reason would be discriminatory, and that is not allowed under the labor code. So this is a ground for the female employee to file a case.
Are there any other benefits aside from the extended maternity leave to 100 days?
Well, I think one thing that should be mentioned is that this is also applicable to contractual employees, to adoptive parents. Although this is not specifically stated in the law, this is already covered under the Domestic Adoption Act, and also for the workers.
Can I cut you right there? Because for the contractual employees, how does that apply to them?
Well, right now, we actually placed a provision in the bill covering contractual employees, but then we were told by the SSS that, and the GSIS, that contractual employees right now are covered. They're availing of maternity benefits. So if the bill states both public and private employees are entitled to maternity benefits, then they're also covered. So we need not state that in the bill.
Also joining us now in the studio, Attorney Rico de Guzman of the Management Association of the Philippines. Attorney de Guzman, thank you also for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
We need to find out the take of the Management Association of the Philippines on this particular bill.
Okay. Insofar as employers and managers are concerned, I think we have no beef against allowing our mothers and employees, female employees, to breastfeed. No, I do not think, though, that this necessarily has to creep into the 8 hours of work that the employers pay each and every employee. No, I think we can somehow structure the work of the employees in such a way that they can be given, the female employees can be given the time to breastfeed their respective newborn babies. No? Moreover, I think on points of first, productivity and cost, increasing the 60 days, which is for normal deliveries, and 78 for cesarean, which is not really the usual. No? So 60 to 100 is already a 40%.
Wait, when you said 60 to 78 is not the usual, what do you mean?
What I mean, 78 is for cesarean deliveries.
Yes. 60
and
is for
60
normal.
is for normal. Assuming the normal, and if you increase that to 100, then 40 over 60 is more than 50%. No? And so in terms of productivity and cost, this would mean much. No? If I recall the figures right, I think there are about 40 million members of the employed workforce. No? And the ratio of female to male is almost half. And so you have 20
so
million.
So 1 is to 2? Is that what you mean?
No.
The ratio?
The 50% are female, almost 50.
1 is to 1.
Almost
okay.
1 is to 1. And so if you talk of 40 million people employed and you get 20 million female, then this is the impact of the bill. No? Now, of course, not everyone will be
giving birth at the same time.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then again, it will, I think, disrupt the projections and the costs that have been inputted into the business by many an investor.
That was a question I asked Congresswoman Aglipay Villar a while ago on the kind of effect this would have on the budget, for example, of the employers, and if it's realistic. But the Congresswoman was saying that apparently during the hearings, this was not really brought up by the business.
The ECO is there.
For example.
Okay, but anyway.
So is it safe to say you're opposing this extension?
Well, in a sense, I think it is not required by the circumstances, especially where our economy is supposed to be on the rise. We're supposed to attract investors, and we are supposed to tell the ASEAN community and the world that we are a competitive set of we allow investors to recoup on their investments.
Attorney, okay, you said that our ASEAN countries, there was data that we showed our viewers a while ago, because if we will just compare it to the ASEAN countries, let's take a look at that data again. You're looking at Vietnam, the ASEAN countries with the biggest numbers of, or the longest days of leaves for mothers who are pregnant. You have Vietnam there with 120 to 180 days. You have Singapore, 112. Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand, 90. And we're on the 60 to 78 with Brunei, Malaysia.
Well, yes, but offhand, I have not really studied in detail the covering laws in these particular countries. At this point, though, I think the fact is we've remained at that level for so many years, for decades, and there has been no significant impact attributable solely, I think, to the fact that we have not been giving 100. No? I think...
so does that make it right?
Not necessarily, except that it will, in a sense, as I've said, disrupt productivity and again, costs of investing in the country.
That's the side of the employers, Congresswoman, something that you think you really need to look into. I mean, if it's a 20 million female workforce, true, the female workforce is not going to give birth all at the same time, okay. Absolutely. But I guess the point is there is some sort of impact really on that. That's what you're saying, Attorney, on the side of the employers.
Yes.
Something to reconsider?
Well, we consider this when, of course, when drafting the bill, and in discussing, it was also mentioned that since it will entail costs for the employer, this might be a ground for them to discriminate women in their hiring. Sorry.
Would you like to react to that?
Also, if you'll note right now, the number of leaves that may be given to women employees are quite interesting. No, first, while there is a 5-day service incentive leave allowed to everyone, many of the bigger companies around give 15 days sick leave and 15 days VL. Yeah. Add that to the 60, so you already have 90. Add, if you are a solo parent, another 7. Hopefully not if you are a battered woman. There's a battered woman. There's another 10. Okay, so there's quite a number.
It's a lot.
Now, even if we do not consider that, and we just consider the fact that there are 11 or 12 regular holidays in a year, and just consider the regular holidays, you already, if you work Monday to Friday, you arrive at a working day of number of working days of about 250. If you deduct 100 of the 250 working days, then you get 150. And the number of supposed to be paid days for Monday to Friday work is about 261. So in effect, you are working less than half of the year.
Okay.
Then you give much less, of course, of the productivity that is supposed to be paid by the employer for a year, because you're working less than half of the year.
Is this the stand of the Management Association of the Philippines?
We have not.
Is this something you're going to oppose?
I think, judging from the way we have been talking around in the association, I don't think the proposal will readily fly. No, yes.
What's your reaction to that, Congresswoman?
Well, actually, in the last Congress, Attorney, it was already passed in third reading in the Senate.
Oh, I see.
Third and final reading in the Senate.
Yes.
In the Senate.
So and in Congress, in the committee at least, there wasn't any opposition from any congressman.
Okay.
So we are seeing that probably this will also get approved on third reading in the House.
Really?
And let me add something to this discussion, Attorney and Congresswoman. There's a similar bill in the Senate that was filed by Senator Kiko Pangilinan, a male at that, and he wants the leaves extended to 150
150.
days.
Oh, I see.
Is that going to change your stand on the 100-day issue?
Well, have you heard the side also, not just of ECOP, MAP? How about IBPAP? You know, IBPAP, the Information Technology and Business Processing, it's a rising star in our
Yes.
economy. They have more than 1 million, in fact, more than 1,100,000 direct employees, and they've contributed, I suppose, per their calculations, about 25 billion into the coffers of the economy. And this is one industry where the majority are women. And I suppose there is a great impact of this bill on this industry. I don't know how it will be taken by the industry. No, yeah.
Well, I think that as the side of the government, we should also, of course, balance interests between the concerns of the employer, the concerns of investors, and taking care of our workers. And the ILO already laid down its requirement of 98 days.
Yeah.
And this is already a subject of long study in terms of promoting health of workers. So we, as much as the government would like to retain what it is right now, I think that the policies should be taking care more of our workers and abiding by what has been set by the ILO.
Just very quickly, Congresswoman, this was passed in the last Congress in third and final reading at the Senate. We mentioned that a while ago. It's passed in the committee level at the House of Representatives. When do you think this will be passed into law?
Senator Risa Ontiveros from the Committee on Women in the Senate and I have been working closely together, and we work parallel with each other in terms of our focus on bills that we tackle first. So she said that they would also be tackling the expanded maternity leave as one of their priorities. So if they're able to pass it again within the first regular session, I think we would be able to do so as well, because since we already passed the committee report, and this means that it can be read and approved on second reading in the next week, we can do that. And then we'll resume our session in November, and then we can vote on it on third reading then.
That's probably something you're going to need to look into, Attorney. We've ran out of time, but let me just add one last thing. I think there's also a plan, mind you, sir, that the Congresswoman is looking at paternal leaves as well. That means leaves for paternity leaves.
For people like us.
Paternity leaves.
But only for 30 days.
Yeah.
37 to 30.
That's going to be another discussion, though. Congresswoman, thank you so much. Attorney Rigo,
Thank you.
thanks
Good morning.
also for
Yes.
joining us.